So thank you for joining, everyone. Welcome to the meetup, the virtual meetup. I'm still, recuperating from Mendix World. I've also not done my hair today, so sorry for that. Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about SAP, and we're going to get hands-on. And the people to tell us about that are here from MX Blue. So we've got Hans-Peter, we've got Sven, and we've got Jacob who are going to help us out. So without further ado, Hans-Peter, please take it away and tell us what we're going to do today.
Yep. Thanks a lot, Jan, for the introductions. Thanks everybody for joining this virtual meetup about combining Mendix and SAP. We've put together an agenda for this meeting. I'm going to start with some introductions about who we are and what we do. And then I would like to share with you guys some of the learnings that we've had about combining Mendix and SAP. And in a way, when I was preparing this presentation, I was trying to put together the slide deck that I'd hoped to have had three years ago when I started this whole Mendix and SAP journey. Since this is a makers meetup, I'm going to try to keep the slideware to a minimum and really focus on the actual building part. At the end of the meetup, I hope everybody has a Mendix app that allows you to register yourself within our SAP system and then place a sales order for yourself in the system. And the one who does that quickest is the winner of this meetup contest. Just a couple of practical matters. We shared a sample project or a starter project that has some working integrations in it. You need Mendix Studio Pro 8.13.1, and the presentation and the final solution will be shared after the meetup. So who we are. My name is Hans-Peter Duijman. I've got a fairly long history with Mendix. I used to be Mendix employee number 17, or one of the first employees without any equity. So that's why I'm now running MX Blue, and basically started MX Blue because I did some Mendix projects and we had to interface with SAP. And two observations from my side. You could make your Mendix application super powerful if they work together well with SAP in a smart manner. And you can add a lot of value to SAP by extending it with Mendix apps. So today I will also try to explain some of the core concepts where we complement each other and where we have differences in approach and ways of working. Jan also already introduced himself, and Sven helped me prepare the meetup. So Mendix and SAP side by side, as they call it in the SAP marketing. Before we jump in, I want to give you a little bit of context on SAP. SAP is pretty much the world's largest enterprise resource planning software company. And in essence, they are fundamentally different than Mendix. If you implement SAP within your organization, you get a huge application with a huge number of integrations. Just as an example, once you place a sales order within the SAP sales module, it will automatically update the finance and accounting, the production planning, the inventory management, the CRM. So it's a large, highly integrated solution that allows companies to really run their business. It's really the heart of a lot of big companies. And it's from their website. I think they say over 70% of all the revenue in the world touches an SAP system at some point. Just to give you guys a sense for, how different Mendix and SAP are. SAP has over 400,000 customers in more than 180 countries. Mendix has 4,000 customers in, don't know how many, but many countries. SAP, more than 100,000 employees. I think Mendix has over 800 at the moment. 21,000 SAP partners versus 500 Mendix partners. Well, the revenue, I think Mendix was very proud that they reached 100 million annual recurring revenue. I think SAP hit over 24 billion of revenue in 2018. And last but not least, I think this really highlights the differences in the applications. If you install Mendix Studio, you get 21 tables out of the box in the systems module. If you install SAP, you will get a staggering amount of 804,000 tables. You will see some of, well, in the interfaces as well, you will see the amount of objects you need to manipulate and work with to do something that seems relatively easy from a Mendix perspective. Just to visualize what is the revenue, how does that compare? This would be the Mendix revenue, and this would be the SAP global revenue. So I think we've made great progress with Mendix. We've really grown from a small company to a significant player in the low-code space. But if you compare it to the SAP market, we're still a relatively small player, and that's why we see a lot of potential in this market. Within SAP, they talk about side-by-side extensions. And what they mean by that is that there's a big push to make SAP as standard as possible for the core functions. I think in the past there were a lot of initiatives to customize the core modules of SAP, and I think that wasn't super successful. SAP is super powerful for handling ERP processes. It's not a good custom development environment. So SAP has realized that, and now for all kind of extensions, they look at solutions like Mendix that really run side by side with SAP. So some of the typical use cases we work on and where we combine Mendix with SAP is to reduce or avoid customizations within the core. So an example would be a specific payment process that requires all kind of additional approvals. We run all the approvals through Mendix. Once everything is approved and ready to go, we update SAP. Other use cases include supporting business processes that run across multiple core systems of our clients. That can be either SAP or non-SAP systems, and really build an integrated process across the whole value chain business process. And last but not least, I think there's a lot of power in SAP. I think the UX is not one of their strongest points, if you will. So what we see often is that we can build Mendix applications that really extend SAP processes to non-SAP users. So you could think about B2B portals, applications for marketing people who want to do a limited number of things within SAP. So there we would build a Mendix app that would integrate seamlessly with SAP. And this is still something that still strikes me as interesting. For those people who don't know, SAP was founded in Germany, and still within the application you will see German words everywhere. So typically you see developers that have German-English dictionaries trying to make sense of all the German that is still available throughout the code. So much for a bit of background context. Now I think we're going to move over to the more important part, is how to build your own Mendix and SAP integration. I think from a Mendix perspective, or from a Mendix maker perspective, it's important to know that OData is really the default protocol for exchanging data. It's basically a very structured way of building and consuming RESTful APIs. Sometimes it's been called the SQL for the web. So you can really create, read, update, and delete objects using APIs. So in our meetup project, we're going to create, for example, a business partner, and we're going to create sales orders, and we're going to get lists, and all this is being done by OData services. So what does this look like in practice? I want to first show you a service on our backend system. So what we see here, if we look at the URL, it's our gateway towards our SAP system, then some default stuff, and then here we have an API that allows us to work with SAP business partners. And the last part, the metadata, by adding that, you get the information that describes the data. So in essence, it's data about data. So if you carefully go through this will show you, for example, that there is an entity or an object in Mendix, well, an entity in Mendix's terms as well, where you have a number of attributes. So this is being used to describe the API, if you will. Another useful resource is api.sap.com. Here, there's a description regarding this service, and here you have all kind of posts, samples, explanations about how to use the different parts within this service. So what we could do, for example, is enter this query where we say, give me the business partner with business partner number a lot 126, and then with question mark dollar format as JSON. It will allow you to get the response in a JSON format. So if we take this response and beautify it a little bit, you can see that this query results in a business partner, which is me at the moment. So what we do a lot when we are building and developing APIs is try to, well, first get them to work in a tool like Postman or even in the browser, and then implement them within your Mendix project. Some more information about OData is readily available on the web. So towards the hands-on part, let me make this a little bit bigger. So what are we going to be working with? First of all, we have the SAP S/4HANA system from Superb, which is the parent company of MX Blue. Then we have implemented the SAP Gateway. This is really like a proxy that sits in front of the SAP system that allows you to expose all kind of different services. We're going to use the metadata that we've just showed to create a Mendix representation of the service using the OData model creator for SAP solutions, which we will then implement into our sample project. And we're going to use that to create business partners and sales orders. So first step is get the metadata and create a Mendix representation of that. So here we are, back in the browser, business partner service, metadata. So we're going to save this information. And it gives me an XML version of the metadata. Now I need to work around this. So when we go to the Mendix App Store, there is something called the OData Model Creator for SAP Solutions. So what this allows me to do is upload the OData schema and allow Mendix to interpret it. So it says, hey, I have found information regarding the business partners. Is this correct? Yes, that's correct. And now I can ask this little tool to create a Mendix package that includes all the information available in this metadata file. So here we are. We can download this Mendix package, and then we get into the part that we are all a little bit more familiar with, and that's Mendix Studio Pro. This is a sample project that I've shared with you guys as well. So I can import a module package. Let me see. Well, they're all the same, but and replace an existing module. So right now, we can see that within our Mendix Studio environment, we have this generated module for the business partners and this generated module for sales orders. So remember in the beginning when I said that there are 800,000 tables in SAP. So what you can see is that SAP needs a lot of different objects, a lot of different attributes to administer a business partner. So if we click on this domain model, you will see that something that seems relatively easy from a Mendix perspective requires a lot of information on the SAP side. And the reason why SAP needs so much information is the very integrated nature of all the different modules. And for a Mendix developer, I think the hardest part is trying to figure out which information you need of all those attributes. And that's where we really work side by side with an SAP consultant to figure out how the system, the target system, is configured and what information we should be providing. So what we did, created a model, imported into Mendix, and then we're going to now look at the API for the business partner, which we have included in the sample project. Let me see, where is my... So everybody who runs the project, they should be getting this Mendix localhost version of your own SAP integration project. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is create a new business partner within our SAP system. And what I will do on my end is put the debugger onto this microflow so we can share with you what's actually happening. So to create a business partner, I'm gonna create Mendix meetup business partner. And when we save this, well, interesting, it doesn't hit the debugger. There we are. So I hope everybody can see the screen properly. So our configuration requires a couple of timestamps when we create a new business partner. So that's what we do here, and they need them in a specific long format. I think one of the challenging things with SAP is that they have their own way of administrating things like dates. The good thing is that at least they're fairly consistent across all their different modules, if you will. So what we see, we looked at our system, and in order to create a new business partner, we have a business partner that we create right here. But we also need to create a business partner address, an address use type. So is this a delivery location? Is this a warehouse? These are all kind of things that you can configure in SAP. And you can identify the role of the business partner. Let me just click through this. Is it a customer? Is it a vendor? Is it a supplier? All those different type of business partners are configured within the business partner object or model. Then, because we have imported the SAP OData connector from the Mendix App Store, we all of a sudden have a lot of additional microflow actions that we can use. So what we have here is all the different functions that Mendix delivers as part of the partnership with SAP. So let me delete this one. There we go. So here we can create some request parameters that we use as sort of a header to get into our system. In this case, we use basic authentication. In a production environment, you would rather use something like principal propagation, where you can execute this call as an actual SAP user. That's in many cases a better scenario. Then the next step is to obtain a CRSF token. In essence, that's a token attached to your session that we use as part of the authentication process getting into SAP. Then I check if we still have a token available, which we do. Well, this is where the real magic happens. Here we have a create. So we're going to create a business partner. We don't use destination services at this point in time. Here is the OData query that's going to be executed. And here are the request parameters that are attached to this request. So, oh, great. I think my token has expired. Bear with me for 1 second. It is a live demo. Let me close this and close this one and reopen. Open project, create business partner, Mendix meet up. There we go. Hopefully this goes better. Okay, great. Let me check what error message we are getting. This is a good practice. Let me see. Okay, yeah, so it is the token. Let me just change this. So we put this in here to minimize the call. So if we have a token, a valid token available, we reuse that. But I will get a new token with every call right now. So basically, the way of obtaining a token, which is attached to your session, is making a successful get. And now it should work. So there's a great opportunity to see some live debugging in Mendix. Bear with me for a second. There we are. Well, third time lucky, I hope. Mendix. This looks much better. Okay, so I stepped out, but right now it has created a new business partner, and we can see the response in the application. So what we see is that a new business partner has been created called the Mendix meetup, and this is the SAP business partner ID that is associated with it. So just to check if that, just to show you that we're not faking this, I'm gonna call an OData service directly from my browser for, yep. So right now, let me see, a business partner. Let me 129. Yep, here we have a new user. No, yep, a new business partner added to our system with this ID, and it's called the Mendix Meetup business partner. So okay, so this is pretty much the stuff that I wanted to show you in preparation. What we're going to do now is put you guys to work and create your own sales order. So I'd like to ask everybody, if they haven't done so already, to create a business partner within our system. And then behind this button, there's an empty microflow that we can use to actually create a new sales order. The way I would like to do this is show you step by step how we do it, and then give everybody a couple of minutes to actually create the logic within their own model. So if you go to your Mendix Studio, you have the sales order create microflow, and it's fairly heavily annotated because I think it's my objective is to give everybody a working interface by the end of the meetup that you can then use to play around and to investigate building more interfaces. So we're going to take this out. The first thing we need to do is to create a sales order type object in the API sales order module. So this is a create object. We can select the sales order type. For some strange reason, it adds a capital A underscore and type again with every entity, because it's really a sales order that we're trying to create right here. And then if we look at the various attribute values, first thing we need to enter is the sales organization. So sales organization, in this case, it's default, it's 1000. Imagine the SAP system would belong to a company like Philips. They would literally have hundreds of different sales organizations that you can configure in the system. Next thing you have to add to your sales order is the distribution channel. How will this order be distributed? It can be online, it can be physical stores, all those kind of different channels can be configured in the SAP system. Organizational division, well, if we use the Philips example, it's for Philips Lightning, and that would have the 00 identifier. Sales order type, in this case, it's a regular order. And then the sold to party, who is this actually being sold to? That will be to the business partner we just created. So I've stored that in the settings object. And in your case, it will be your business partner that you have created in the previous step. Make sure you use business partner and not business partner full name here. And last but not least, you have the shipping conditions. Under what conditions is this product shipped? And what you can see here is that SAP can be highly customized to really accommodate large and complex organizations with literally, well, thousands of sales organizations, distribution channels, etc. And I think that's where the real power of SAP sits. I think Mendix is much better in creating intuitive, user-friendly interfaces and processes around the SAP core. So we now have a sales order. Next step is to create a sales order item. So,
by the way, should you have any questions, guys, you can leave them in the chat or use the Q&A. And while we're doing the assignments and the practical stuff, we'll try to answer some questions during that time.
Yep. Thanks, John. So this, make sure I get this right. So what is the material that we are shipping? I think in this case, it's an iPhone. So what you see very often that they would call it in SAP material, where in practice it would actually be an iPhone. The requested amounts, where are we? Requested quantity, in this case it will be just one. The shipping point, where will the product be shipped from? And the production plant. So in this case, the production plant of this iPhone will be notified that one product that came from that production plant will be shipped. And they would typically use that to update their inventory and place orders for new raw materials for new iPhones. So I think that's where you see the whole integrated nature of SAP adding value. And last step here would be to associate this sales order item with the newly created sales order, the previous step. So these are the first two steps. And I'm going to move back to the application and give you guys, let's say, 3 minutes to see if you can implement this in your own module, and then we will show you how the next steps will be done.
Yeah, and if you want to know where you can get the project template, as some people are asking, the link to the files is in the chat here. So make sure you click on that bit.ly link and download the project files.
Yep. And after the meetup, we will share the a link to the finalized Mendix model.
To the solution. Okay, so the actual solution is not part of this.
Yes,
project.
it is.
It is.
Yeah, we're just gonna add the part that we're building right now.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, so someone asked, can we run the project local or should we run it in the cloud?
No, local is fine.
Yeah, please run it locally. By the way, we can let people unmute if you want to speak. So let us know in the chat if you want to actually have a conversation with us. We can, of course, talk. So we don't have to do everything through chat. So maybe that's an idea for you, Renee, if you want to talk with Sven or Jacob or Hans-Peter or me.
Renee is ahead of the other people, I think. I think yeah. he has the eyes on the prize.
Yeah. All right, Renee, you should be able to now.
Hi. Good evening.
Hi, Renee.
Hey, Renee.
Hi. Yeah, while you were talking, I was creating the microflow already and run it. And
Yep.
then I get that HTTP error. So I'm not sure. That's why I was also asking if we could run it locally or in
Yes.
cloud.
No, it can be run locally. That's what I'm doing right now at the moment. Within the HTTP error, there is typically an error message. If you expand it, that should give you some clues regarding.
It's in the chat.
Okay, I haven't seen that.
Oh yeah, so it's in the Q&A window.
Okay.
Let's see.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, we will get back to that. I will make sure that we give everybody a working example of the sales order after the demo. So right now we have created a sales order and a sales order item. Then the next step that we have to do is create request parameters and add basic authentication to those. So there we go. That's one of the default SAP actions. So you can really look at them as sort of like a header to our request. And then we can add the basic authentication. So these are the request parameters. The username can be found in S4 login name. Password is in the S4 password. I think we're going to leave the credentials open for 24 hours so people can work a little bit against our system. If people want to have access afterwards, please drop us a note because our security people said that we would have to lock it after 24 hours. But for now, you can use it as much as you want. So what we have now, request parameters, added basic authentication, and here we have the subflow that we use to obtain the CSRF token. And I need to add the request parameters. Return, yeah, there we are. So this one is slightly easier, I would say. So I'll give it back to you guys, and then we will give you, well, what shall we say? 2 minutes? 2.5 minutes. There you go.
And if you guys need more time, then of course let us know. Because Peter has of course done this, 100 times by now. So.
Let's see. Sven zal het misschien, ja. Een fotootje maken voor. Oh.
You have 1 minute to make a photo, Jacob.
That's for our marketing team. They asked us to. That's what they do. Q&A.
Have another question coming in?
Yeah. Is it correct that I see more sales orders coming in when? Yes, that's correct. So by that question, that means that somebody has already successfully entered the sales orders. You will see your own orders, but also all the other orders of other attendees.
All right. I'm curious to see who
got there first.
Who got there first? Yeah.
Yeah.
Am I still in the system, Humpy?
Maybe. No, we only show sales orders after the beginning of the meetup. So.
Okay. That's too bad.
I will leave the rest of the people in a little bit of suspense for now, because we still need to take the last step, and that's the actual creation of the sales order. So moving back swiftly to our workbench where we feel at home, created the request parameters. So the last action really is to create the actual sales order using the OData connector. So right now, the OData, the main object is the sales order type or sales order. The destination, we don't use that. If you run on the SAP cloud, you can use destination services. But that's, I think, outside of the scope of this webinar. And I'm gonna copy the query. In essence, that's worth. So let me show you. As part of the metadata, it provides us with the URL where the service can be found, and also the entity sets. These are really the entities that you can create using this service. In this case, there we go. So it's the URL. It's a create, so it's a post in REST terms. URL / sales order, and that's where this sales order will be posted. And last but not least, we need to attach the request parameters. Going back to the question that that was posted earlier, we've included a microflow to get all the sales orders after you've posted yours. It also runs on a scheduled event. So this really should be the create of the sales order. So let's see if this actually works. There we go. Well, there we go. And the winner is Easton. We have to find out who belongs to this business partner. Just to show you how we do it on our end, I'm going to create interesting.
It's a demo effect.
I know. It makes it. Let me see. That's interesting. What did I forget here? Sales order, destination empty, expression.
Maybe someone kicked you out of the system, Humpy.
I got locked. Something like that. Let me see. This is interesting. Somebody hacked our system. Let's see where we are. This goes well. This as well. Did I associate it? That's all good. And business partner. There we go. Interesting. My token is giving me headaches. Let me see. Okay, let me start up a new browser session, and it should go better. Is my project? Okay, so I think what's going wrong here is that it attaches multiple tokens to my session. So I'm gonna close my browser and see if I can get a new one. I will check after the meetup to see how we can avoid that from happening. Okay. There we are again. Oh. Let's see if this solves the issue. There we are. Yep, sales orders. Let's see if this. Ah, darn. Okay, so much for this step. Let me see. We have a couple of minutes. Let's see if we can actually find the reason why this is happening. Set error handling, custom rollback. Okay, let's see in the console, is it still? Let's. Is there another browser window? I'm gonna try one thing. Run this. Just gonna run it in another browser. I think the tokens are giving me some issues. Let me show you. I think if this Firefox, see if this gives me a new token. Okay, sales orders. Yep. Okay. That's really annoying. Let me see why it's creates. Okay. So that's interesting. We had some attendance that actually got them in there. I will have to look into why this is not working here locally. I know, but I think we do know who got there first, and that's somebody who goes with the business partner name Easton. So if that
who is this?
Yeah.
Who's this? In the chat.
Can you identify yourself? Or put it in the chat or see if we.
I was about to say, I hope we don't see 5 people saying, "Hey, that's me." Excellent.
So do we have a name?
Yeah, in the chat. Bram.
Wonderful.
Bram Tibbe.
Congratulations, Bram. Maybe Bram can unmute himself and explain to us how he did it.
007 saying, no, it's me.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, let's see if we can unmute.
Fine.
Yeah. So you
Good
have
afternoon.
the power to speak. Yeah. Hey, Bram.
Hi.
Hey.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah. So how did you do it? Just follow the instructions in the microflow and then.
Yeah, I followed the instruction. The only thing that I changed was the request parameter, like the value of it.
Yep.
I think yours changed it to _2 as well, and I changed it to the ones that you made in the description. Maybe that might help. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yours crashed.
Yeah. All right. And did you have any previous experiences using the SAP OData connector?
No. I do have with OData, but not with SAP.
Okay. Well, congratulations. If
Thank
you
you.
can share your contact details, either to the Q&A, yeah, if you can share them on the Q&A, then we will make sure you will get your developer shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful. All right.
Are there any other questions that people have, or people who couldn't figure it out and want to know what's going on? Except on Peter, of course. This is going to haunt you for a while, man.
I know. That's the joy of live demos.
Or if maybe there's something else that you would want to see. That could be a thing as well. Or do you have something else to show, maybe?
No, I think this was pretty much what we were hoping to show you guys. I can sort of recap what we actually just did. So there's your price, Niels. So in essence, we exposed the sales order API and the business partner API, used the metadata to create both module packages. We earlier imported the SAP connector. So using these three components, we could then first create a business partner, and then using that business partner, create a sales order. So this is, in essence, how the integration between Mendix and SAP works. I think what we found in terms of lessons learned, it's really vital to work side by side with an SAP consultant who can tell you the specific configurations of the target system and provide you with working code samples, because each SAP instance has been configured differently. So there's no way of finding out in the documentation how you should build a service for your specific client. I think that's an important lesson learned from our end. And I think what's really good, if you position both systems really side by side, and I think a lot of Mendix developers have the tendency to say, build everything in Mendix, which is always possible. But if you want to develop the best solution for your client, you really need to find the right balance of what you want to do in SAP and what you want to do in Mendix. And I think that's something we've learned a lot about over the last couple of years. So those were some of my final closing comments. If there are any further questions, feel free to drop us an email or put them in Slack or in the chat.
Yep.
And that would be it for now, I would say.
And also the chat, the Slack, of course. Yeah. So if you want to continue the conversation, you can of course join us on the forum or on the Mendix community Slack. Everyone's on there. So feel free to either chat in public channel or find people one-on-one, have some conversations, and let us know what you think at the meetup. And if you want to see more topics like this or maybe something else, let us know what you want to know.
Yep.
And
excellent.
Yeah. So thanks, Hans-Peter. Thanks, Sven and Jacob, the whole MX Blue team for coming up with the content. Thank you all for attending, and hopefully see you soon in a next live session.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, Jan. Thanks everybody for
Goodbye,
attending,
everyone.
and have a great evening. Bye for now.